Do you know who Kamala Harris is? Well, yes, of course, the first female, black, and Asian vice president of the United States. Slated to be president soon if you were to believe her sycophantic team. But who is she really, and how did she get here? You see, Kamala Harris is a made-up phenomenon. She's hardly done anything for America as a politician, and she's hardly solved any real problem in the past. In reality, Kamala lagged far behind the rest of the candidates. She was devastatingly destroyed by Tulsi Gabbard and soon had to call off her campaign. In a nutshell, she has been promoted by a very loud lobby of media influencers, feminists, and people so obsessed with diversity that they discount even merit. They paint an unbelievable image of her, a hero of American politics, a leader who can fix all the problems ailing the country. In reality, Kamala has failed on all counts. Be it the border situation, her knowledge or lack thereof of international affairs, her newest failure on the voting rights bill, and much more. She has got an egg on her face on every real and relevant political matter. Hi and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host Sanbir Ranhotra, and in this video I will tell you about the most recent embarrassment for the Democrats brought upon them by none other than Kamala Harris herself. Let's begin. President Joe Biden had given his deputy Vice President Kamala Harris the responsibility of leading his administration's push for a brazen liberalization of the country's voting system, giving the franchise to just about anybody. The Democrats' push for an overhaul of America's voting and the electoral system comes amid a concerted push by Republican states to make the election process more authentic and American. Republicans want to change electoral leniency in order to ensure only Americans take part in the country's elections. In their endeavor to get more and more people under the ambit of America's electoral system, only to score political brownie points out of the widened voter base, Democrats had touted the controversial For the People Act, which had passed the House of Representatives in March itself. For the Biden administration, the passage of the Brazen Act, which aims at increasing the Blue Party's voter base, was a magnificent victory. However, For the People Act being passed by the Senate was always a radical proposition. To somehow ensure that it does pass, Joe Biden had made Kamala Harris in charge. She was supposed to make sure that the Democrats secure a victory in the Senate and pass the overzealous bill aiming to brazenly federalize American elections. Well, guess what? To nobody's surprise, the For the People Act has fallen right on its face, as it failed to even get taken up for debate by the Senate in what came as a humiliating defeat for the Biden administration and a personal embarrassment for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris had previously proven to be a failure on a variety of issues, the biggest of which has been the vice president's inability to control the southern border crisis. Biden had entrusted her with the task of ensuring that the voting reforms proposed by Democrats pass Congress, and she failed miserably at her job. Kamala Harris of late is getting handed the most difficult of tasks by her boss. She is failing to meet her targets on all counts, thereby resulting in her reputation of being an effective leader taking a massive drubbing. Is it a coincidence that Kamala is also leading the Biden administration's charge on selling the American Rescue Plan, advocating Biden's infrastructure package, representing women in the workforce, highlighting the black maternal mortality rate, assisting small businesses, assessing water policy, promoting racial equity, combating vaccine hesitancy, and fighting for a policing overhaul all at the same time? We think not. Someone very powerful seems to be hell-bent on ensuring that Kamala Harris is seen as a failure, and she is not disappointing anyone on that count. By failing to meet her targets, Harris's bid for winning the next presidential polls is taking a hit with every passing day, as Americans begin viewing her as unfit for public office. Of course, her horrifying fits of laughter are also making the vice president extremely unlikable. When the Senate failed to advance the For the People Act to the floor even for a debate, Kamala Harris was presiding, and in a defeatist tone, she made the announcement that the motion had failed. In a vote of 50-50, it fell short of the 60 votes needed to overcome a GOP filibuster. All Democratic senators voted to begin the debate, and the Republicans unanimously voted to block it. Her real failure is not that she could not get the legislation passed in Congress, but that she could not even get the Senate to debate it. The For the People Act aimed to, among other utopic revisions, set up automatic voter registration, expand early voting, ensure more transparency in political donations, and limit partisan drawing of congressional districts. Above all, it almost removed any serious need for voters to produce identification documents for voting, and we all know which communities the Democrats were targeting to benefit most by their random, unverifiable votes. The act could have made American elections a tool for the Democrats to keep electing themselves to power. As much as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would love that, the Republicans have spoiled the party for them, which is why Biden, Harris, and Democrats are naturally frustrated. Joe Biden, by taking some time out of his packed sleep schedule, took the trouble of releasing a statement in which he said, "Unfortunately, a Democratic stand to protect our democracy met a solid Republican wall of opposition. It was the suppression of a bill to end voter suppression, another attack on voting rights that is sadly not unprecedented." Effectively, Biden touted Democrats as the ultimate avengers-like guardians of democracy, while Republicans were the ones looking to dismantle it. Biden, of course, did not mention that Republicans are the ones trying to protect the sanctity of American elections, votes, and outcomes by ensuring that illegal, undocumented immigrants who are not American citizens are not allowed to vote. For reasons best known to the Democrats, they are up in arms against the GOP for their enthusiasm at protecting the idea of America. TFI has already explained how it is Biden who is imperiling Kamala Harris's portfolio and making her an unviable presidential candidate for the 2024 elections for the Democrats. By giving her difficult tasks which are impossible to achieve, Biden is ensuring Harris is seen as a failure, and the president is scoring one victory after another towards ruining Kamala Harris's track record.